All right, we are live here with the predictive Trade with UFOs Nailing FX US session here on FX Street, coming to you live out of here in Singapore. It is where it's 9 p.m. And 1 p.m. GMT time and 8 a.m. US time. So hey, thanks for joining us here, and we are experiencing some very interesting times, aren't we, with the US presidential elections bringing in a little bit of volatility the day after, but also, yeah, a little bit of uncertainty, right, about what's going to happen going forward. But you know, that's how it is, right? That's how it is. Before we get started, though, there is just a disclaimer. Just take a few minutes to scroll through that. Okay. All right. And you may notice here we have a link to www.tradewithufos.com/Andrew, and where that will bring you to is this page right here, where you can sign up for free membership to our Trade with UFOs. And so you just put your name and email here and tell us that you're not a robot, and you're able to get access to information that we have about some of the courses that we have to offer. Also, we have coaching sessions that we do live like this here on FX Street and also on our YouTube channel. And we also do one-on-one coaching as well. So these sorts of things we do offer. And then more importantly, if you do have any questions, you're able to search for them here. We don't have a lot of people asking us a lot of questions at the moment, but if you do and you want to submit a question, signing up also enables you to ask us whatever questions you want about how we trade the Forex markets or any other market for that matter, also about our technology as well, and a few things like that. So things like our memberships here, the apps that we have to that we use here in our sessions. Also, we do have the training, not only in person but also at your own pace, and at a very good price too. So if you're interested, please do sign up for that. Okay. And become a member. All right. So let's see what is going on. Just in terms of our live sessions for November on FX Street, myself, Opa, Pedro, and Ronaldo are at these times on FX Street, but also, as I mentioned before, we are on YouTube. And if you want to find out more details going forward, you can also go to tradewithufos.com/live, and that will take you to the calendar. So this calendar here, and you can also see some of the other things that we do, you know, with the futures, options, or stocks. Okay. All right. I'm also doing a session in November, the 23rd to 27th of November, Survival Mastery Forex in Action live. So that is where it's over 5 days, 3 hours per day. But we also give you access as part of that training, the auto UFOs and auto climate tools, right? Apps, trading apps for 3 months, and that gets you practicing and understanding how to use our technologies. And so that's one way of getting, you know, kind of trying it out before you subscribe to it. Okay. All right. So We have had, you know, in the the major pairs, right? The Aussie dollar kind of came off a little bit, but it's been kind of shining. But there are some showers coming up, soon. So even though we have had some upward moves in really all of the pairs over the last this week, right? Aussie, Euro, and Pound, and then inversely, the dollar CAD and dollar yen have moved to the downside pretty much. That is really a function, I guess, of some of the trading around the US elections, but hopefully we'll get to some more normality in the coming days and weeks ahead. Once they may not sort this stuff out that quickly, but we'll see, right? We'll see. But at least the immediate volatility seems to have been taken out just the day after the election. Okay, so even though things are a little sunny now, are there other opportunities for a move back lower in for dollar strength? We will see. Have that discussion in a minute. In terms of things that we need to take note of, we do have coming into tomorrow the Aussie policy statement, but I think the thing that people are really going to be looking out for is the US non-farm payrolls. So that's going to be an interesting one coming in, especially after the election, to see how the market reacts to this economic news. Okay. Now, on deck we have, of course, the dollar. So I've kind of kept, the lines on there from prior weeks, just so we can kind of see, right? Initially, there was a price movement higher. We had this what was the emerging downtrend, and then we did have some lower lows kick in. But now we've got this higher high sitting at 94.30, and so the question is going to be: are we going to hold on the dollar above 92.50, right? Because that's that red line down here. So kind of a sideways movement at the moment. But if that 92.50 holds, we could see a rebound higher. If it breaks lower, then of course we're likely going to be heading back down to, or could head back down to these other lows that we experienced back in September. Close to the 91 sort of levels, right? But we'll need to see how the market reacts. I think on Friday to non-farms. But otherwise, the climate is really neutral, and we'll zoom into that a little bit into that shortly. Okay, so no position orders at this point in time. There's just an example of how we will keep track of things. And so let's head to the markets now. Okay, let's see what's going on. All right. So since I put that that chart together just earlier, we have had further falls in the dollar, and so one of the questions that we need to ask ourselves coming into the end of the week is how we think we're going to end the week. We still have another day, of course. On the lower time frame here, on the 4-hour, the climate is moving downwards. So any lower time frame opportunities we will be looking at getting into, would be on the short side. But as we move lower to to this 9250 area, right? We can flick on the order UFOs just to give us a sense of where we could expect some buying interest, and the UFOs are telling us closer down to the 92 area is potentially where price is going to head. If we go down lower, you know, we do see at the 1 hour time frame an area of interest coming in at this 9250 area. So that has been where prices turned before and reacted to. You know, it had attempted on a number of occasions to get lower, but failed to do that. But we have moved from that area before. So that'll be an interesting question, you know, observation to see as we end out today and going into tomorrow. How does the dollar, does it hold this 92.50 area and prices below that, or is it going to move itself lower down to this closer to 92? Okay, now if we are looking to short the dollar, the only opportunity we would see would be at this area here, you know, on the 1 hour, and so if we do get a little bit of a pullback and then a resumption of the move lower, then that would be an opportunity to get short dollar there. Otherwise, if you're not into trading the dollar, then there is also the euro. So if we look at the euro, let me get there a little quicker. Okay. So here we are on the euro. So inversely, we do see some strength. So if we did want to go along with the euro, this would be a good place to go long on some sort of retracement. Now, I did do a little bit of an earlier lower time frame trade here, actually on the 15-minute, where I did see prices, you know, they were kind of basing out here. So this would be a prior, you know, resistance area, right? So so support, resistance becomes support. So I did take an area here earlier in today just to get long, and so you see here was really actually down at this area here, as I saw coming into the you know, as it kind of came out of the European, started to get moving towards the US session. I did see prices move higher, so I got in on this pullback and took profits up at around this area up here. And yes, we have moved further, but you know, I was happy with taking a little bit of a it's kind of a 1-to-1 on that one, and so that's what the UFOs were telling me earlier in the day. A nice little area to go long at on a 5-minute chart. And so if you're an intraday trader, you know, the order UFOs is, you know, is very versatile in that regards, where you can use it for those, you know, your entry, even if you are a bit of a swing trader. If you see this area is a good opportunity to go, you know, that you want to go long, and move it up towards a, you know, a nice risk reward sort of target, then you can always do that. And the other benefit of the auto UFOs, of course, is that it helps you identify a little bit clearer your risk, right? So here, if you took things, so I took things at 130.35 with a stop down at you know, 130, right? You know the number of pips that you want to risk is about 35 pips, and then you just adjust your position size to ensure that your dollar risk is kept constant. So if you're according to your plan, if you're risking $50, then you just adjust your position size accordingly, right? So so if you haven't seen that before, just so that if I can do it, this example, if you're going in at 35 and where you had your stop loss down here, right? And let's say your profit was, 1-to-1, for example. If you're going to risk $50, your position size is say 14,000 units, right? Which is in MT4 speak, it's 0.14. Or if you're going to risk $100, right, then your position size is going to be closer to, well, it's going to be double that, 28,000 units or 0.28. Or if you're risking, $200, you're willing to do a bigger risk size, then you're doing a 0.557, right? So you always keep, what we tend to do is always keep our number of pips risk the same, right? We may add a little bit of a buffer, right? Again, because of your spreads, depending on which broker you use, right? You may need to put a little bit of a, an extra couple of pips for your stop losses, and especially when you get cross pairs, you also may need to add a extra wiggle room, right? Extra buffer to account for that spread, right? But otherwise, you're keeping your dollar risk the same and adjusting your lot sizes. Okay, so that's one of the nice benefits of the Auto UFOs tool. It's able to, or app, it's able to, really give you that sort of precision in that sort of sense. But if you're clearly here, if you like to trade on a 15-minute time frame, then your entry point is going to be down here to go long, and so you kind of have to wait for a bigger pullback for that to happen. But in terms of targets as well, it also enables you to see that if you are going to go long here, there is some target areas up above, closer to 3170 sort of area, right? So if we did want to just adjust that slightly, okay, just so that it's a little clearer. In terms of pound, this is what we would be planning to do is looking for price to come down here and then head up here, right? And actually, what we want it to do is go down here, then down here, and then rebound down. Okay, so that way, given that we want to go long, just wait for that retracement, and that would be a nice, let's see, that'll be a nice almost 3, even if you took it a little earlier just to get your 3-to-1, you could do that quite nicely right there, right? So in this case, we are risking what looks to be about, so all that, if you're going to wait for it to come back down and then head back up again, then you're still risking 35 pips in order to make 3 times that. Okay, about 105, something like that. Okay, so that's the pound. So of course, you need to check some of your fundamentals as well, and to make sure that that's in alignment to what you're expecting. But that is definitely something that we can, you could plan out for the pound. All right, and okay, because at least on this time frame, it is on the hourly, it is still bullish, and so that's why your preference would be to go long. Okay. Let's see what else is going on. Let me just turn these off. Now, if you like to look at commodity currencies such as dollar CAD, let's go for the bigger picture here. Just see what's going on here. So again, you see everything's kind of in this mode of you know, bit of a sideways move, isn't it? Coming down to some areas of, you know, prior support here. Let's get this right. So definitely, you know, there's going to be some sort of interest coming in down here for buyers to kind of step in. If we turn on the auto UFOs, it's showing us that if this area breaks, we could expect you know, some other buying opportunities lower down, right? So a great way to plan strategically here. You know, maybe let's do this. Right, do a bit of strategic planning so that if this this area here breaks, then we could expect some buying opportunities down below here. On the sell side, no sell opportunities, at least on the daily, until a higher price up here, about 35.50, 35.60 sort of area, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So do we have any opportunities to go short here since prices are heading lower? Not on this time frame, not until we're back up here. It's going to be in a tested area. Okay. And then we've got the hourly. Let's take a look. Yeah, so again, we need to wait for some sort of pullback to this area here. All right, so we don't want to be chasing price. You just want to let it come back up to us. Now, if we are going to take anywhere on this time frame to go long, then we really need to be looking at this area here. So, okay, so that I don't distract us with what some of those retested areas, I'm just going to remove that and just focus in on this main area of interest where you know, price needs to hold, right, before you know, we initiate any long. So really what we would want to see if you know, if we're going to trade this is really want to see a pullback. You know, we want to see a pullback and then head down to that area, right? Because if you know, because if you go short here, right, then, you know, what if price goes up here, right? You don't know if it's going to go straight down, right? And so here we have prior support that has been broken and now become resistance, and so really we want that pullback to happen to be on the safe side, okay? And so if we do that, really be better to put a, probably have, would be better to have a bit of a stop up here. And then you have you know, just a little bit more than 1-to-1. But again, you know, you're position sizing this thing, right? So if we want to go short at, if we're just going to make it 35, make that 20, and stop at 80. Okay, can do that, and then do a so put 100 in there. Okay, so yeah, even though your stop is at 75, because you're adjusting your position size, not your your entry and your exit, right? I mean, you keep that the same. You just adjust your position size. You keep your dollar risk the same. Okay, so so just for example, we're just going to whack that in there. All right. So so with the again, even at this lower time frame, the auto climate is again telling us that the movement is down, towards the downside. So we just want to continue with that view of things, right? So it'd be nice to get a little bit of movement higher, and then for it to continue lower. But we will see. We'll see. Okay, so again, the versatility of our apps are can really complement a lot of the strategies that a lot of the not only our own clients but also the broader community use different strategies, right, to determine their entries. I think most would really be take into account the trend, right? And so even if you are if you're a trend follower, you would come to the same conclusion I would here, that our auto climate is also telling us that on the hourly, the movement of prices is to the downside. And so the question always comes, right, is where do you enter, right, and where do you exit? And so that's why the auto UFOs is such a nice tool, because it helps identify those areas where we expect there to be some sellers coming to the market and buyers coming into market. So so again, the support and resistance, the traditional support and resistance players would also want to get short at this level too, and because that was support and that's become now resistance, and so they would also, I'm sure, be telling their clients to look at this area as well. And so the added benefit, right, of that is that of the auto UFOs tools is that it clearly identifies those areas and the risk that you should take. Well, that would be appropriate to take given the the structure that was put in place by the market players while forming that move down, right? And so again, if kind of the way I always like to think about things is as a business person, because when we are looking at just buying and selling things, right, as a business person, you always want to be buying inventory cheap and then selling your inventory at a higher price, right? So if you just think about yourself, if the last price that a buyer was willing to buy at, right, which was here, right, that was cheap at that point, and that was expensive, so if they could have gotten those who were able to sell at that price, right, they're able to sell, the sellers are willing to sell at that price. Are there sellers who are willing to sell at higher prices? Yes, right, because these were the prior highs, that you're able to get for dollar CAD, right? And so if you're able to get those higher prices, then yes, you'd definitely want to sell at that point, right? If you had inventory, Now the fact that it didn't get up there, right, just means that, hey, look, the buyers, got tapped out at this point, and they weren't willing to pay for those higher prices, right? And so that's why you get these lower highs, right? Because the buyers were saying, hey, look, yep, yes, we see that there are higher prices which were able to that the sellers were able to achieve previously, right? But hey, look, currently, that's just not the case, right? We're not willing to pay anything above, 133, right? We weren't willing to pay 133, 12 or above, right? That's just what it was, right? And so that's what the buyers were telling us at this point in time, right? And so as prices came down, right? As a seller, right, you would only be able to sell at these prices here, right? And if you're lucky on a pullback, right, you're able to sell at these prices up here, 131.80, right? But after that, if you wanted to sell at 138.80, you just weren't able to, right? The buyers weren't willing to buy at 138.80. You see, so you're only as a seller you're forced, right, to keep on offering lower prices, right, until this point here, right, where prices keep on, the buyers are just not buying. I mean, that's just what it was. And so the reference point, right, for the sellers now was, hey, the buyers weren't willing to come in here, right? They want a lower prices, and so are we? As a seller, what is your anchor price, right? Your anchor price now that that prices have broken down below this 131.05, right? That is now your anchor price, right? That is price at which the buyers previously had been willing to buy at. Now, are you able to, hold back and see how, whether you can entice some of the buyers, right, to buy at these, at that prior low, right? And so if you are, then perfect, right? Perfect. You're able to sell at this point and then offload your dollar CAD and then let prices go back down to a point at which there was interest, right? That in buyers coming in, right? And a price at which just got too low for the sellers, right? They just got too low for the sellers. Now, is it possible that prices can go lower? Yes, it can go lower. But again, it needs to go past these anchor prices that were set previously by the buyers, right? Or the market participants in the past, right? So given, and that's why the markets are so dynamic, right? Because different information comes in, different players come into the markets. Of course, you've got the bigger, the business world, right? Of course, are always transacting. They're always going to be, even at these times, as the economies have slowed down around the world, there's still buying and selling going on because there just has to be. Otherwise there'd be no food, right? a lot here in Singapore, we rely on imports, right, of food, right? every country, right, is dependent on global trade these days. Even if it is restricted and limited, it still occurs. So that's why the markets are very dynamic, and even at times like this, where yes, we do have volatility coming in or uncertainty coming in because of certain events, but at the end of the day, life goes on, right? Regardless of who the president is going to be, yes, do they have some influence over things that are going in the world? Yes, but at a very macro level. Does it have an impact on the markets? Yes, they do, right? But at the end of the day, things will get back to normal, right? Outside the pandemic, we'd hope things will get back to normal faster than they are occurring at the moment. But even then, this COVID situation will pass. I mean, the Spanish flu, okay, it took what, 3 years for it to get to run out of steam and disappear. Hopefully it's not going to be that long for us, with this COVID thing. But definitely, what we see today is potentially how things are going to continue until this virus is a little bit more under control, right? But the reality is that as long as the financial markets are active and work, then we will see movement in prices, right, whether up or down. And so that's the beauty of Forex. You can go short, you can go long, you can do so many different things with it. But conceptually, right, what we have here is anchor prices, right? That's why support and resistance works, right? And if we just think about it logically, these were anchor prices. These are the prices at which buyers, that was the lowest price that were wanted to get before it was being bought up, right? But as those buyers have disappeared, they want lower prices. Then the sellers have no choice but to sell at lower prices, right? But there are those reference rates, those anchor prices at which they're going to be looking at, right? And which is what's happened, right? Over that's the experience, right? Is that these prices right down at this level, the 131 has always been there's always been interest around this area, right? And so yes, you've had some times when lower prices were able to be obtained, right? But for the most, the reference anchor price is 131, right, around this area. So if we can get back to sell at these prices, then that's what we want to do. Right? That's what we want to do. Okay, I've got a few minutes left before we end our session, so let's just take a quick look at maybe dollar yen. So this is some prior reference rates here, so let me just get rid of that. Okay, just to kind of clean things up, let's go for just a higher time frame. Let's remove some of these old lines just so we can get a clear review of what's going on. So definitely a downtrend in dollar yen. So yen getting stronger. Obviously, it's been able to move lower and lower and lower, right, beyond these prior lows, right? So what we'd expect is probably if we can get a pullback to the 104, right? If we get back to 104, then that would be a good area to get short. And if we just turn on the UFOs here, that is also the area that the auto UFOs is helping us to identify. Okay, so again, trend is down, right? Movement of prices is down, so we're looking for shorting opportunities, and that's on the 1 hour time frame. That's the nearest one. Do we have anything lower down to kind of refine the entry? We could, if we want to be conservative in terms of risk, wait until this area, but again, we can just position size our adjust our position size, right, so that we can still risk the same amount of money, but at least get into the trade, right? Because obviously price needs to pull back further in order to get to this area here. Yeah, so that's still the ideal area. It's still the ideal area that we want to get short at. Okay, so if you're, so you can go as far as here if you want, right? But again, let's just measure out our risk this way, and depending on how you like to do things, 1-to-1, 2-to-1, right? Kind of a free fall almost, when we look at dollar yen, and the prior low, right, can get all the way down here. That's pretty far. All right, that is another reference area down here. But in terms of risk reward, you can get a decent, 1-to-1, 2-to-1 without having to go so far down. Right. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of the markets as I see it at the moment. It's just I think this week has been hard just because of the US elections. It's still unresolved. Are we going to get a little bit more certainty? Unless Biden has a clear win, we're not going to get that certainty. But even then, you're going to have Trump and kind of contesting, right, the probably wanting to recount, and Wisconsin, some of these other very narrow margin sort of votes. So we may not have any sort of real clarity for the next couple of weeks. But hey, if Biden reaches 270, then game over. Pretty much game over, and the markets will react accordingly. So hopefully that just takes out that sort of volatility, right? We just want things to get a little bit more normal, and I think the markets will kind of factor all that sort of stuff in as well. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's pretty much stay short the dollar for the moment, but if we just go back, there could be some some buying opportunities. Maybe it'd be kind of as we saw in the euro, right? Kind of the inverse relationship, but maybe we'll see a bit of a bounce, and then maybe it'll go down further, or it will hold and then head back up. We'll see. All right, we'll just let price tell us where it wants to take everything. All right, so let me leave it at that for today. Just a reminder, we do have some training that should say November 23rd to the 27th on a workshop. They are recorded, so even if you are not able to attend every night, every morning, you can, but you still want to participate in some live sessions, you are able to do that, right? And live, and then those that you're not able to attend in person, and you can watch those later. Okay, and you do have access to these auto UFOs and the auto climate tools that we show you in these sessions, and really show you how to apply it during using a explain the concepts and of course the set sort of methodology. Kind of talk more about time frames and things like that as well. How we use that in the analysis and how to use the tools accordingly. All right, so I will end there for today. Thanks for joining, Bando. If you do have any questions that you want to send across to me, then you can join, of course, the tradewithufos.com/Andrew, and we'll be able to get your contact information through there. Otherwise, you can email me at andrew@tradewithufos.com if you have any questions separately that you want to ask. All right. Okay. Well, I'll leave you to your day, and thanks for joining, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Have a good day.